Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio. Basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, welcome everybody. How you guys doing tonight? This is CQ. You are tuned in to Pop Culture Warrior. How are you guys doing? What is up this fine evening? I am your host, like I said, CQ. This is Pop Culture Warrior. This is the show where, I keep up with all the up to date on all the pop culture news, so you don't have to. With me, as always, is my lovely co-host, the Chewy to my Han, the guy who makes sure I don't geek out and pull a muscle, the incomparable Radar. How are you tonight, Mr. Radar?
What's up, CQ? I'm awesome. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm living the dream, bro. I'm living the dream. Did you enjoy your weekend?
Oh yeah, it was great. I actually I had a 4-day weekend ish. It's kind of sucked. I had a shot in my knee on Friday, so I can walk again, but I was kind of out of it for a minute.
Okay.
That's whatever.
All right. Well, we're glad you can make it. We're glad you're with us. I am here messing around with the chats. Everything is good. I'm looking. We're live. We're looking good. How we doing? How we doing here?
We're doing awesome.
We're doing awesome. Fantastic. All right, yeah, we're looking good, man. I'm still getting used to this, right? I'm still learning the ropes and making sure I push all the correct buttons, make sure everything is looking pretty, make sure all the lights are coming on. We're getting the sound. We're good. Yeah. So this is awesome, man. This is very awesome. We're getting the sound. So I had a great weekend. Everything was good here. Spent time with the family, and we were good. I want to say first, welcome to everybody that's tuned in with us tonight, man. I appreciate you guys coming out and supporting the channel and supporting what we do here. This is very exciting, and I'm so happy to be able to spend time and produce the show and make it the best thing I can possibly make it. This is everything I hoped it would be, and I'm excited to keep it going. So with that being said, I want to remind everybody we do have a social media presence, and let's see if I can make it come up. Let's see, here we go. The things are not wanting to play today. This is classic, right? When you have something working and it doesn't want to do as you want it to do. So let's try this again. See if I can get it to work. Hi, there it is. It popped up. Hi guys, how are you? So check us out. We have let's see if I can get this. It's backwards. There it is. See if you can get us. Check out the website WTF Nation Radio. I just created a Facebook page for Pop Culture Warrior, so please like the page, and I'm going to use that as a platform to kind of preface what we're going to talk about in this show. There'll be trailers, there'll be movie quotes. I don't know, anything and everything that I want to talk about or I think is interesting in the pop culture realm. Feel free to post things at the page, and if you there's something you want to talk about and you want to see, put it on the page. Shoot me messages, and we'll talk about it. We can schedule. You can call in and we can talk about it. We have the YouTube page, and also you can follow me if you're a Twitter user at CQWTFNR _WTFNR. And also just as a last reminder, because I know this kind of came up from the last week's show, but you'll see ticking across the bottom of your screen right there. That is the show's call-in number. So if you'd like to talk about anything pop culture related, If you want to tell me my opinions are stupid and I should keep it to myself, I'm used to it. That's okay. You can do that. But really, anything you want to discuss, if there's a topic that we're hitting and you wanna give your take on it, by all means, definitely have us at your disposal to call and be a part of the show. That's what I want this to be. I want this to be an interactive show where it's not just me talking, it's all of us. Yeah. I'm sorry, I was just looking at you're gonna just don't accidentally share your screen. Yes, very funny. I appreciate you guys tuning in and chatting with us and being part of the conversation. That being said, so the first thing is, I have my stuff that I want to talk about, but just recently I got a message right on the Facebook page. Hey, it's got its first message, and somebody, oh wow, shit, we got our first caller. Hang on one second, I'm gonna bring somebody in here. Let's see who this is. Let's see if this works. Hey, you're on the show. You're on Pop Culture Warrior. Who is this?
Hey, Mike Larson.
Hey, Mike Larson. What's going on, buddy? How you doing, bud?
Not much, bud. Good. Hoping to talk a little Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, real quick, before we do that, I did get a question on the page, and the question was, I'm going to pull it up here. What are your thoughts on the next monster movie, The Invisible Man? So, real quick, I will say that the monster movie, The Invisible Man, is real quick. I will say that feedback. The monster movie. Yeah. So the monster movie, Invisible Man. I don't like. I know in the traditional sense, it's a monster movie. Right, because it's one of the intellectual properties that goes in the universe of like Dracula, was it the Wolfman, Frankenstein? It belongs to that universe.
Yeah.
This is from what I've seen, from what I've read, this is a very different take on it. It's not your traditional. It's like what they did with Kevin Bacon a couple years ago. So it's not that same take. This is more of like psychological, because it's like an abusive ex whatever, and he's doing this thing, and he cheated death and all this and all that. So I think it is much more in the vein of a horror movie than your typical monster movie. But maybe that's where we're going, and that's like the new generation monster movie is a kind of hybrid of horror, I guess is the best way to put it. So I don't know. I don't know. Nothing about. I saw the trailer and I read some stuff, and nothing about it really gave me that feeling over like, oh man, I really want to check that out. That's an interesting take on it. But we'll see. I mean, it's still early. They've only released one trailer, so usually, but by the time second trailer, third trailer comes out, you start to get a better grasp of what the movie is. So there's answering that question, what I think about that. And so, yeah, to talk Sonic, man, I went to see the movie, and now I do have a son who's almost 3. He's not ready to go to the movies yet, to see those kind of movies. He can't really hold his attention. But I went mostly because I'm a believer in that, the studio tried to do something. They released a trailer that was just horrendous. The character of Sonic was just... I mean, like you had thrown Sonic in a meat grinder, and that's what came out. And for the studio to go back, say, okay, we'll cancel the release of the movie. We're gonna put time and effort into it. We're gonna make it what the fans love and appreciate about that character. That means something to me as a fan, as a person that has always felt like, man, this movie didn't do it justice, or this show didn't do it justice, or this whatever didn't do it justice. For them to go and take the time, I was like, well, I have to pay money and show support for something, even though really I wasn't that interested in the movie. I mean, I played Sonic as a kid. I played all the games, but there was no like, oh my God, Sonic
desire to see a movie. Yeah,
exactly.
Like, if I want a video game to be a movie, you're not like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, Sonic's not the first on
like,
my hit list.
No,
that's absolutely correct. But I will say, well, how about this? You called in. What were your thoughts? How did you feel about the movie?
I went into it with the same mindset. Like I I played the game as a kid. I liked the game, but I did it, to take the kids. It was the only family movie out, and I have a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old. They had wanted to see it, not knowing the preview, the first preview. They never saw that one where he looked creepy and disturbing, which
Right.
I don't know how that passed through, the whole studio with no one raising a finger like, hey guys, Sonic looks like crap, let's fix this.
That's true. That's
Let's
very
wait till the
true.
preview comes out and then we'll take care of it. But I thought it was good. It's definitely a kids film. James Marsden, it's kind of sad watching his career go down the toilet. I mean, this is like his third crappy movie.
Hey,
But
come on,
overall,
don't
I thought
bag
it
on
was
the
a
guy.
decent family film. The kids loved it. Jim Carrey, classic, over the top. Acting, I think, was a little much, yes. Was it hard to believe that he can actually punch someone and it hurt? Yes. But it was a good movie. Overall, I would say for family movies, it was good. It's better than all the other family movies I've seen. Some spoilers we could give spoilers, but I think it's too early to do that now. But
Right.
there's
There's
good
definitely
things
set up. If I get what you're catching.
and some things were laid down in the movie that don't leave right when the credits start rolling.
Yeah,
Let's just
yeah.
say
There's
that.
two
Um,
post-credit scenes. One right before the credits, and one about midway through the credits. That kind of set up where the story might go in the future. Probably will.
Yeah, which based on it had a good box office opening. I mean, based on that, yeah, it'll go there. But maybe next week we'll release the spoilers, or you can release the spoilers or something.
Yeah. We can. It's never too
Gotta
early
ruin it
to
for
start.
everyone that may see it.
Yeah, it's
The
never
last
too
5
early
people
to
that
start.
haven't already saw it are gonna go see it.
Yeah, there's
But
always
yeah,
time to speculate.
I liked it. I didn't. It had funny parts. It was good. I like what they did with the rings. They included the rings from the game of, like, how are they going to add that to the movie? And I thought they did it well.
Yeah.
They made them portals to other worlds. I guess we can give that spoiler away.
Yeah, I mean, there's a history in the game of like the rings can the big ones anyway, not the little ones, but the big ones can teleport you to different zones and things like that. So there is a precedent within the game that they brought that to the world. I really enjoyed it as from the view of it's a kids movie and it's a video game movie. We have a horrible track record when it comes to video game movies. Just almost as bad as how it was in the early 2000s, early 90s, where with comic book movies, and that got better, and now video game movies are starting to get better. So I definitely appreciate your feedback, and I'm gonna let that drive me into my next segment. So I appreciate you calling in, and give us a call anytime. Thanks for coming, Mike.
See you later.
Appreciate it. So that's a perfect segue actually into what I was gonna talk about, and just start off with weekend box office, right? So obviously Sonic was the big movie this week. It came in at 68 million for the weekend, leading number one in its opening weekend, which is good. Birds of Prey was the number 2 movie of the week, coming in its second week. It only made 20 million across the whole weekend, which is it doesn't sound like much, but if you understand that it only made 33 million it only made 33 million its first weekend. That's a pretty good steady, there's always going to be a decline, but usually you see a much more drastic decline. So only losing out 10 million from opening week to second week is actually really good. That means it has a strong word of mouth, and people are actually enjoying it. So that being said, we'll talk movie news. So over the 2 weeks, it's at 62 million. So again, you got to look at, Sonic made 68 million this one weekend alone. But for Birds of Prey to be an R-rated movie, and not come in that hot off the first week at only 33 million the first weekend, it to be at 62 million right now is very good. Third place for the weekend was Fantasy Island. For those that don't know, it's a Blumhouse picture, and it has to do with I think it was like you go to this island and whatever your fantasy is, it comes to life, but there's a twist, there's a horror twist, like oh, I hate that bitch, and and then now you're in a torture chamber and you can kill her, or my daughter died and I wish she was still alive, and now she is, but she's like creepy zombie girl. So horror movie. It came in. It did only 14 million for the whole weekend, which again for a horror movie, coming in behind two kind of AAA titles, 14 million is actually respectable. That being said, we talked about Sonic. Radar. I know you're there. I know you took the kids. Did you see the Sonic movie?
I didn't take the kids. The kids went with some friends of theirs.
Lucky you.
Well, and I honestly, the last movie I saw in theaters was Fury. Last one I saw in a theater. Not good bullshit. I'm not a big movie theater guy. I haven't been. I love watching movies on TV, like in Netflix and all that. And maybe someday I'm hoping that they'll combine all of these like individual streaming services into one, and I could just change the channels on the remote on my TV, like cable used to be. But anyway, no, but they loved it, and I'm not gonna say a whole lot because I think I could probably give you the whole movie, through them. There's a lot. They don't understand spoilers yet. They're still little boys.
Sure.
But no, they loved it. They absolutely adored it. But I'm kind of curious with these numbers. You're saying Sonic did 68 million this weekend, and Birds of Prey is coming in at 62 over two weekends.
Right.
I don't know if Sonic's the kind of movie people will see over and over again. It doesn't seem to be that kind of audience towards it. Where I think Birds of Prey, like most of the comic movies, you get people who will go and see it 2 or 3 different times with other friends and drag people to it. I think Sonic was kind of one of those ones where people just kind of, especially like you said, the kids and the younger that love it, that love that kind of video game crossover stuff. I'm kind of curious to see how it lasts in the next couple weeks. I don't think it's going to keep top numbers going. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, and that's a great point, man. I haven't really looked out to see what's coming up. I know there's no real big releases coming up in the next couple weeks, so I think that might drive it for a little bit because those are going to be your big options. We had Bad Boys was out for a while, and that's starting. I think they came into like 5th or 6th place movies in the weekend, so that's on its way out. There's nothing really coming up to challenge it. A shout out to my wife here. We're big fans of Impractical Jokers on True TV. The comedy kind of where they go into public and do challenge each other to do crazy stuff. They're releasing a movie, and that comes out. I know it comes out on Friday. So that I think is going to be the biggest release or challenge to what is out with Sonic and Birds of Prey. So we'll see. I am curious to see how much staying power does it have in theaters, because they're really riding on this, and they really did establish a world, a universe that it seems they want to build on. And they, studios being what it is, it's cheaper to make a sequel than it is to start fresh with something. And they definitely laid out a lot of sequel bait in this movie. And honestly, my review of it is that it was a good movie for what it was. For a kids movie, I thought it was enjoyable. It had moments that I actually laughed as an adult. I got the joke. There a couple jokes that go over kids' head, but that definitely land for adults. I heard a couple adults chuckling in the room, and I think where it benefited was that the Sonic video game, unlike a lot of other video games, doesn't have a real lore to it. It doesn't have a storied history to it. If you look at, let's say, like a Mortal Kombat, where it's a game that just started out with people punching and kicking, but over the years it developed this backstory, this lore, and every character had these motivations and the storylines and yada yada yada. It was interconnected. Anything, the Call of Duties, the Gears of War, Final Fantasy, all these stories are laid out within the game. Sonic comes from an era where Super Mario Brothers and Sonic, it was just you press start, you're in the world, figure it out. There is no history, there is no backstory. Like you would read the back of the box that the game in, and that kind of gave you a brief, like you're in the world of so and so, and try not to die. But there weren't really a lot of games at that time that had these really big backstories. And over the course, Sonic's had like a cartoon and comic books and different things where they've established kind of a backstory to him, but there wasn't really a lore built into the video game. So I think that is a great opportunity for them to build this universe and really create the story. And again, I'm not going to spoil the movie or anything, but where he came from is not even really exactly given to you, or the backstory so much. It's like, yeah, he's a kid, he's a thing, now he's here, he's doing this. Right. So they even sidestep a lot of the whole origin story-esque trope that can happen with these kind of movies. But overall, I thought it was good, man. If you got kids, go see it. It's worth taking them. And I know kids come out of that movie bouncing around, screaming, "I'm Sonic, I'm Sonic," and they're bouncing around doing, being nut jobs. Yeah. So that being said, I did want to take a second. That I'm kind of pretty proud of myself. If I can pat myself on the back here for a second, I know it's very out of character for me. My friends will tell you. Last week we talked about something, and I put it in the rumor section, and I said, this is speculation, this is Hollywood gossip, this is the rumor, it's one of those things that it was the Rick Moranis joining the Honey I Shrunk the Kids reboot, and we talked about it, and they said, it'd be great if they do it. Their rumors, they're talking, and it might happen. Well, it was confirmed this week, literally like a day or two after the show. It was confirmed he's officially signed on. So Rick Moranis will be leading the Honey I Shrunk the reboot. So yeah, kudos. Hey, we got one right in the speculation category. I should
got it.
I should keep a tracker. I'll keep like a little digital ticker. Like, yep, we got it. We nailed it.
Well, I think it was even like just a couple hours after we finished the show, wasn't it? The next morning, I think it came out.
It was very, very, very soon, but
it hurt us.
Enough. I know he listened to the show. He's like, all right, it's out there. I got to do it. So yeah, that's definitely what happened. Not at all. But all right, cool. So enough patting ourselves on the back. I'm really excited that that's happening, and I think it's gonna be really cool. So yeah. So okay. So some movie news. I think you grew up in an era that had Bill and Ted, right? I mean, you saw the movies, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Well, they are filming the 3-piece for this movie. It's called Bill and Ted Face the Music, and it's I'm very excited. I think it's gonna be a really, really cool movie. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited, with the star power. Obviously, Keanu Reeves has built his career kind of off the back of, Surfer Boy and Bill and Ted and the movies he did. So I'm very excited to see him come back into kind of the comedy fold and being silly again, because he's done a lot of, doing The Matrix. He's done, the John Wick and all these series, and done incredible work. But I love him as a goofball. I think he's hilarious. And so I do have. Check this out. Let's see how that looks. Hey, so what you're seeing on screen is the first image was the first look that Entertainment Weekly, I believe, got the first look at that, and that was the first still that came out a couple months ago. But this one here, this one is the newest look at Bill and Ted 3. This one just came out this week, and we see the guys. They're obviously decked out in tuxes. From the snippet that I grabbed, it talks about here we go. So the first footage we're expecting to arrive soon. Until then, we're settling for these new images. They've obviously grown a bit older since the last time we see them, and the snippet has that each of them have a daughter of their own, but that doesn't mean they rock any less. So yeah, they rock. So it kind of almost looks like there's a wedding, some type of ceremony. Maybe it's I don't know. Maybe it's almost like a quinceañera, like a sweet 16. So it'd be interesting to see how that does. And basically the premise of the movie is that they're told they have 1 hour to create a song that will save the universe. So it's interesting to see how they're going to do that, and what really the impetus of that is, and what's the cause, and how they resolve it, and how their daughters are going to play a part and their parenthood, their fatherhood is going to play a part in saving the universe. So I'm very excited. And a really cool thing that I saw, this was a couple months ago, but it's been in my head, thinking about Bill and Ted. I'm going to show you this picture here. Let's see if I can pull it up. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Hey, there it is. So basically, the backstory here is that a famous CNN reporter, he was helping raise money for a charity called what was it? Homes for Our Troops, and he's an ambassador for them. This guy named what was it? Jack Taper on CNN. And so he had reached out to some of his contacts in the movie industry and said, hey, we're looking for things to raise money. And basically the cast and crew donated a tour of the set of Bill and Ted 3. Now, when they found out about what the charity was for and everything, the director actually reached out and said, hey, man, we could do more than that. So we'll do the tour thing and raise money, but I want to invite actual wounded warriors to come be on the set of Bill and Ted 3. And then once they got there, I guess it went so well that they actually cast them in the movie. So, in the picture you can see there's a couple guys that are double leg amputee and a couple single leg amputee, but these are actually wounded warriors who are going to get, and we don't know what the characters they play. We don't know, the backstory of what their characters are or who they are. But the idea that these guys got the chance to not only see the behind the scenes, but to be in the movie, how incredible is that? I think that is so awesome, and I'm so happy for them getting to do that. What do you think?
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. I keep looking at this first picture you showed up or put up, and I don't think I'll be able to take the kids to see it. Because they won't have a clue what a phone book is.
That's right. Yes,
or a
exactly.
phone book either. If I'm honest.
Yeah, like that movie's so old that like the future of technology was a phone booth. that was right. The height of technology.
No, but the Wounded Warrior aspect is really cool, and I love seeing different. There's always all these different groups that. I got out through the AW2 program and stuff, and so you get all these like, oh, you could do this and you could do this and whatever. So it's kind of nice to actually see that stuff come to fruition and see guys get a chance to really do something like that instead of just like, oh, hey, you gotta go play golf. Yeah. Oh, thanks. Great. Can't walk. I should go play golf. Good call.
Exactly. So that's a really cool thing that they're getting to participate in. I'm very excited for them. I can't wait to like watch the movie and like try to find. I actually knew a couple friends of mine, a couple Wounded Warriors of mine, that back when this is going way back. So Batman, when they did the third one where it was Bane and Catwoman and all that. There's that scene where the police are charging down the street to attack Bane, and like Batman and Bane are fighting. They had to hire a bunch of extras, like a crap ton of extras, to be all those police officers running down the street. And about a dozen of them were actually Wounded Warriors that I know that got to be in the movie and, dressed up as cops. And which was cool because they didn't play up to the whole, like, oh, these are wounded veterans in the movies. Like, they were just cops. They weren't the wounded cops. They're just in the shot of cops. And so I thought that was super cool that they did that. And so for them to do that for Bill and Ted, I'm very excited, and I can't wait to see what they bring to it. All right, so moving on. Something we talked a lot about last week. So Venom, right? Venom 2. We talked a lot about Spider-Man. We talked a lot about what was going on and possibilities. So we know Venom 2 is happening, obviously. It's shooting right now. And we know Woody Harrelson's in it. And they've really been super coy about it. But and I don't think Tom Hardy knows just how coy they've been about it, because nobody's really confirmed anything. And then Tom Hardy goes on his Instagram and shares a photo of Woody Harrelson in character on set. And so I will show you this. Here we go. And now, again, top one is from the Venom movie, the first one. If you stayed to the end credits and you watched the post-credit scene, you saw Cletus Cassidy, Woody Harrelson, playing the character and alluding to, there's going to be so much carnage. Well, down here, this is which let me has been removed from Tom Hardy's Instagram. They pulled it down shortly after, but obviously the internet being the internet, they grabbed it and it's there forever. So yeah, so that is Woody Harrelson in character as Venom, and someone even shared. I was trying to find it online, but there was a video where they showed him kind of in character, very much like Joker-esque. He was doing this kind of like body movements thing, and I'm guessing they're going to CGI, tentacles and all types of stuff happening. And in the scene, the cop runs up to him and just starts shooting him almost point blank, and he's just standing there doing his little belly dance. So I think I'm excited. This is gonna be cool. I mean, Woody Harrelson is a nut, and I'm excited to see what he can do with something, with a killer, with a psycho brain, and yeah, I think that's gonna be pretty cool. I don't know. Do you have? Did you see Venom? Or I know you didn't see it in theaters, but did you ever catch it on DVD? Did I lose you? No worries. I'll just keep talking. It's cool. Raiders, he's having a smoke break. But yes.
No, dude. I hit mute.
Don't you hate when that happens? You start talking on mute and you think you're in the conversation.
I do this like the last 2 weeks, dude. That's all I've been doing. But no, I didn't get to see Venom. I didn't get it. My kid watched it like 300 times.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Kid loves it. You should have my son on. He's good.
Yeah.
But
we'll geek out together.
Like I would walk by and I'd catch it and I'm like, I should do, man. I can't watch a movie right now. I don't want to start it from the middle. Like, let me know next time you watch it. I'll watch it with you. And he's like, oh, I forgot, Dad. So that's lame to watch a movie with.
Hey, I see we got Daniel in the chats. Hey, man, you said hi, so somebody say hi. Hi, Daniel. We're glad to have you in the chats, bud.
Do they pay me marijuana? I don't know. Do they film in Colorado? What's up?
Oh man, I just the idea of Woody Harrelson bringing this character to life is just it's exciting. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Sure. I saw Venom in theaters, and as I see all comic book movies in theaters and video game movies, but and again, it wasn't something mind blowing. It was a little by the books. It was a little or by the numbers. And they changed. In my opinion, I don't prefer. I'm okay with taking a little liberty with the character and adjusting things like the Marvel universe has done, where they have to adjust certain things to make it fit the narrative. But when you just outright change completely a backstory and change a power set, or you change whatever, it as a fan that grew up on comic books, it doesn't feel quite right. So Venom being this. In the comics, Venom was the symbiote, and everything kind of spawned off that. So for him to be one of many, and then he was kind of the pipsqueak, and it just, I don't know. And Eddie Brock was always a bully and not this like timid guy, and I don't know. They just, I mean, they're trying to establish their own thing, and I respect that, and that's okay, and I mean that's their business. But it never felt quite right to me. So I'm hoping moving forward that they can with Woody Harrelson and all that, they really bring in some really good acting chops and some fun story stuff. So we'll see when it comes to that. Now speaking
I think it has a lot of potential. Woody Harrelson could be hilarious, and he can be. I just think of him in Zombieland.
Yeah.
And if he can kind of bring that attitude and that kind of craziness and all of that to that character, I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it.
I see Timmy in the chats. Hey, man. Yeah, do I know the View Askew universe? Yes, I'm a big fan of the View Askew. Not a lot of people know the View Askew universe. It's that predates the Marvel universe. He's talking about Kevin Smith making movies like Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Dogma, and how they all have that Jay and Silent Bob kind of run through all the story to show that they're all connected. And he's talked many times about how he was doing that way before the Marvel Universe was doing that with these combined movies, but that he pulled that, and this goes back to the original question of Invisible Man, he pulled that from comic books and from those monster movies that were, they all live in that same universe, the Frankenstein and the Mummy and all that. and he was, even though the Marvel Universe did what he did, he was copying it from the Marvel comic books, where on any given week you could open a Spider-Man comic book and in would walk Wolverine. Like, that's just normal. It happened all the time in the comic books, so it does in fact tie very much into the Marvel Universe. And in fact, there was a little Easter egg in Captain Marvel where the Stan Lee cameo, which was in every movie, he's reading the script for Mallrats. And if you know the Mallrats movie, Stan Lee was a big part of it. He had a big scene in the movie, and the story kind of, he helped the story move on at a certain point. So, they're saying Stan Lee is reading the script for Mallrats, which means that Mallrats, the movie, exists within the Marvel Universe. So therefore, there is a Kevin Smith in the Marvel Universe, because he wrote Mallrats, and there's that. So it all ties. I got the conspiracy. I got to put up the little pop up with like the conspiracy guy with all the strings and papers. But yeah. So anyway, what do we got next? Oh, so we've talked Venom. We've talked Bill and Ted. Another one that I am is high on my radar. I wouldn't say yet that I'm excited about it. I wouldn't say yet that I'm can't wait to see it, but it's definitely on my radar, and I'm curious to see what they're gonna do with it. And let me bring that up, is Batman. So with Batman, we just had this week, and I'm gonna pull it up right now. Boop, there you go. Just this week, we had the peak here up top of the first kind of test footage that they've done with Robert Pattinson, who many know him as the Twilight guy. I don't remember, Edward, I think his name was, sparkly vampire. So this is. I mean, he's got the jawline. He's got the Batman jawline. That looks good. But they did and I posted on my page. So if you want to see the actual video of him kind of walking up and being exposed and showing what he looks like, go to Pop Culture Warrior on Facebook and you'll see the video I posted there. But obviously he's bathed in red light. He's not red. Obviously he's bathed in red light. And the uniform looks very cobbled together. It looks very, like, the face cowl looks very leather, as opposed to the body armor. So a lot of people are saying this could be like, a year one where he just got started and he's just kind of piecing the uniform together, and it's not fully fleshed out just quite yet. And the reason I highlighted this one here, the chest, is for a very interesting reason. And now obviously it's the bat symbol. Everybody knows Batman has the bat symbol on his chest. But if you look at it, it doesn't quite fit with the rest of the uniform. It doesn't just blend in. There's definitely, it's kind of its own thing. It has its own essence to it. And so the first is, some people were saying like maybe it pops out and he can use it like as a batarang. Like that's his very first batarang. It comes right out of his chest. I don't think that's the case. It'd be surprising if they did do that. That'd be interesting, to say the least. But if and I'm going to do this so you can see it this way. I found a way to lighten the video, or lighten the screen capture. And now check this out. I'm going to put this side by side. And now, if you can see, it looks like a gun that's been kind of split in half, or serrated or broken. And the prevailing theory for a lot of people is that this might be the gun that killed his parents. They call it the Joe Chill, which was the name of the killer of Bruce Wayne's parents. So it was a short story, and man, it's funny because this ties into Kevin Smith, because years ago Kevin Smith was a co-writer on one of the issues, and they did a kind of flashback sequence where he talks about how he bought the gun that killed his parents. He found it at some CD shop, was able to track it down and bought it, and then he actually melted it down and used it as the plate that goes right above his heart. And the idea being that, this gun was the gun that broke my heart as a child, but it will now protect my heart as an adult. And that was the kind of the irony and the justice of, I'm going to use this tool that ripped my world apart to, better my pursuit of justice. So I think that that's what that is. I definitely think that, he destroyed the gun and then found a way to implement it into the suit. How they're going to do that in the story, how they're going to make it tie in, I have no idea. But if I had to bet, I definitely think that's going to be his symbol, moving forward. That this is the thing that made me who I am, and villains and bad guys are just going to see the bat symbol, but for him, it's that I'm putting this forward, and it's the thing that broke me and made me is the symbol on my chest. So I definitely think there's a lot of history. If you know the comics and you know the stuff, there's a lot of history to the symbology of the logo he wears on his chest, and it had to do like back in the old day when it was like the big yellow circle. In the comics they say he goes, I wear it because it makes it A, obvious who I am, but B, it's a target. That's where his armor is the strongest. So he wants people to use that as a target because that's his best chance to survive if he got hit. That was where his armor was strongest, and it avoids, things like his open face, getting shot in the face, because people tend to levitate towards the target. So there's a lot of history with why he chose the motif and that. So very exciting. And thoughts on if this could possibly be a gun?
It's gotta be. It's gotta be. I saw that Reddit thread. So if it's on Reddit, it's gotta fucking be true.
Absolutely.
It gotta be. No, I don't know. There's a lot of cool theories on it. Does it look like I've seen a lot of guns, and I'm looking at the picture. Don't know. It could be.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
If you, God, they should have just made it where he melted it down. Like show that in the deal. Like have him melting it down and making the deal out.
Hard, like a hard symbol versus the. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm interested to see how they do it, the way they do it. It'll be interesting to see that. But moving on.
Plot twist. What if it's not even fucking real? What if it's just something they put out to get all of this buzz, all of this talk? Because there's so much symbolism buried in all of these different movies, right?
True.
Might just not even be a thing. It might even be the real suit. It might just be some shit they had laying around, like throw this on the internet, so don't talk about it.
Well, I mean, it did get released through the proper channels, so it came from the movie studio. So we know it's not just some guy that posted it. But I mean, there's always, Marvel's known for throwing people off the tracks. They'll release trailers and things that show scenes that are either not in the movie or have been edited. People edited in and out of the shots. So there's a very good case. I do think, and this is just my opinion, that this is the suit of the movie, only because, especially with what we went through with Sonic, because they run the risk they don't show the suit, and then it comes out and people are like, oh my God, that's the most horrible thing I've ever seen, and this and this and that, and then there's no time to change it. Whereas, okay, they're shooting the movie. They're shooting it right now, and no one has seen the suit. No one has seen the Batmobile. No one's seen that. They've done a lot of, establishing shots and people walking in the park kind of shots. So maybe this was an opportunity for them to say, hey, let's leak this footage and see how people react. Because if they react good, great, we nailed it. If they react bad, we'd be like, oh, well, that's not the final suit. It's just, this was just a version that we were testing. Like, you know what I mean? They can backtrack, as it were. But for the most part, I've seen a lot of the split reactions. Some people, it's too daredevilish, which I think the red has a lot to do with that. It tricks the mind. But I think they're taking a lot of pieces from the source material. There's, like the Arkham Asylum games, where it was very modular, piece by piece, that represents it as well. But also from stories like Batman Gaslight, where it was like a Victorian era, so it was almost like cloaks and lots of leather and things. And so I see little bits of kind of that in the cowl and in the cape. So well, I mean, we'll see. I'm very excited to see what they do with it. The Batman that they did in the DCEU, the Batman versus Superman and the Justice League was a take. It was the big broad chest and like the all one piece leather kind of suit, and very very tight in the mask. So there wasn't a lot of head turning. I think that's always the hardest thing with Batman, is because how does he have a cowl that's attached to his suit and still have the flexibility? We saw it with Val Kilmer's Batman and George Clooney's Batman, Michael Keaton's Batman. All the rubber suits didn't give you a lot of mobility. Christopher Nolan did it where it was almost a helmet over it was like a hood, and then the helmet went over the hood, so that was all like a soft Kevlar neck guard, so that gave him a lot more of the left to right head movement that he didn't have in other movies. And then they went right back to it with Ben Affleck, where it was that kind of one solid headpiece, which made him like very turn with his shoulders. So I mean, it's interesting how they're going to approach it, and it's challenging. Batman as a character is challenging. It's not an easy character.
You left out a very important one.
What's that?
That's the college humor Batman. Batman.
Right. That's the Pete Holmes. Pete Holmes is Batman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. Oh man, those are some of my favorite videos.
I fight crime in a rubber suit.
Yes, it seals in the flavor.
Yes. Best Batman ever.
That's a good one. I also left out Adam West. There's a classic, the '66 Batman, and of the animated one, of course. But yeah, no, there's been a lot of takes on the character, so I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with that. Finally, last bit of movie news that I've got is so there's a prevailing theory in the John Wick universe. We were talking about Keanu Reeves earlier with Bill and Ted. Obviously, the John Wick franchise is now 3 movies in, and they've talked about how they're going to keep pumping them out as long as people, keep paying to see it. I think it's a great series. I mean, just some of the best action, out there. The choreography is phenomenal. Hand to hand, gun to gun, weapons, vehicles, dogs. We've seen it all. And it's really well done. It's a very well established and flavorful universe with the hotels and the concierge and all the their own cryptocurrency and the blood markers and all these pieces that really build a world around these characters. They are doing a TV series that where they're going to do the 4th movie, and then there's going to be a TV series that has to do with like more about the hotel and kind of the ins and outs of that business and what it's like. Is the Matrix coming in? Yes. So Timmy, I see your question. The Matrix is, he is filming Matrix 4 right now. So we talked about that a little bit last week, and as it goes on, when we see trailers or stills, I'll put them up on the page, or I'll talk about them here. But yeah, that is happening. So with John Wick, they're doing the TV series. They're going to do the 4th movie. So the prevailing theory, and I love this. I love this theory. It's very rare that I'll see a theory and I'm like, oh my God, man, they're really reaching. But with this, I like this. You ready for this? So the John Wick series, each movie, really the heart and soul of the movie captures one of the 5 stages of grief. So, and I'm going to read this so I do it right. So since John Wick hit theaters in 2014, the character has been hell-bent on revenge. Throughout the 3 movies we've had, the retired hitman played by superstar Keanu Reeves has taken down hundreds, if not thousands, of people standing in his way. Now, the one popular fan theory has started gaining some steam online, is that the theory suggests that John Wick's franchise will last for 5 movies, with each one representing one of the stages of grief. So denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. According to the theory, the first 3 movies have been representative of the first 3 stages. So as pointed out in the theory, the original John Wick movie saw the hitman move about his house with belongings of his deceased wife laying about, something that seemed to show a strong denial of her recent passing. John Wick Chapter 2 would then be the anger phase, pretty evident in the chaos Wick caused throughout, from the dozens of dead hitmen and bodyguards to the character's blatant disregard towards the Continental's ancient honor code. John Wick 3, Parabellum, followed the bargaining stage of denial, as the character dug deep through his life, making deals with anyone that owed him a favor, despite not having contacted them in years. So far, it lines up. Using the logistics behind the theory, that means the next movie would be representative of the depression stage, something that's well been set up already. Thinking back to Parabellum, Wick was seemingly betrayed by Winston as the former nearly plummeted to his death. He's beat up to a pulp and is apparently going to be forced to work with the Bowery King. So, depression. The last stage, or what would be John Wick Chapter 5, would be then acceptance, meaning it's likely to see Wick come to terms with what's happened and finally bury the hatchet for good. Either way, it seems the director says he and Reeves are willing to continue on with the franchise so long as the box office numbers warrant additional movies. And John Wick 4 doesn't have a release date yet, but we know that he's currently filming Matrix, so that'll be probably his next project after that. Or Bill and Ted's done. He's shooting Matrix now, and then John Wick Chapter 4 after that. So, what do you think? You think that that this is an adequate film theory?
It's not horrible. It's not horrible. It's not a stretch, I don't think.
Right.
I mean, it's I can see it happening, but do you think that it's more of a reach? And like you just said, they'll keep making them as long as people keep watching. You know, so it's like, what do you do when you hit John Wick 6? They've already passed through all the stages of grief. It's like, now it's John Wick balling. Like, I don't know, but I don't know. The thing that the first 50 minutes of the show, something that's kind of really popped out to me, kind of seems as though Keanu Reeves is like one of the freaking busiest men in Hollywood right now, does it not?
Yeah. I mean,
between the John Wick series and Bill and Ted now, and the new Matrix film coming out, he might be on that list we showed last week of the who made the most money in Hollywood.
You know, and here's the funny thing about that, and I had the same thought, but he doesn't strike me as a guy who's going to fight for big paychecks. He's known as being a very giving, very work-oriented. He's done charity. He's the kind of guy that rides the subway. There's pictures of him like riding the subway in New York, just chilling, or sitting on a public bench. He doesn't strike me as a guy that's like, well, I'm going to make sure I get, $100 million for my next movie. He's probably so overloaded with money between John Wick franchises, between, the Matrixes and all those things that money's probably not a big motivator for him, I would imagine.
I'm sure he enjoys what he does, too.
Yeah.
Like, I would not suck to be John Wick every day, let's be honest. But, I mean, on accident, if he keeps putting out films, and they're good films, too.
Yeah.
I've never seen a John Wick movie I didn't like. I've never, Bill and Ted has been a long time, but the same, all of these things that he's making, they're all popular series. They're all bound to make money. I don't know. It's great. I think it's awesome. And he might kind of look at it too. If he's very charitable, the more money he can make, the more money he can give away, the more people he can help. Yeah. So I don't know how that works.
I wouldn't be surprised to find out years later, that he hasn't been like building orphanages and donating college. You hear these stories of like, anonymous college tuition costs are paid and all these stories of people. Like, I wouldn't be surprised like to find out that Keanu Reeves hadn't, spent half his, fortune. It just seems like the thing that he is. There was a story where he was on a plane and he was flying first class and whatnot. But they had to get diverted, so engine failure or something, and it landed in this tiny rinky-dink town. And it would be hours before they could get another flight out. And so he basically paid for like a charter bus to come pick up everybody and take them to the airport they were supposed to be at. It was a couple hours away. And they talk about like throughout the whole process of the emergency landing, of the getting the bus, he was super nice. He was talking to everyone. People asked for pictures. And then on the bus ride, he started regaling them with stories, and like they were doing sing-alongs, and he was telling them all these different stories, and like they were passing like wine country, so he was telling them all about this stuff, and like everybody was just blown away by just how generous of a person he was and kind, and where any Hollywood megastar could have like chartered a private helicopter or blown up and be like, do you know who I am? And I'm he didn't do any of that. He
right.
just went along and tried to make everyone else's experience better for it. So yeah, I think that it's awesome. He's an awesome person, and I will, if he keeps making badass movies, I will keep going to see them.
Yeah.
You know,
I still love seeing him on YouTube doing his 3-gun stuff. He's not a bad shooter. I don't know if you've ever seen any of that, but that's pretty impressive. Oh.
He dedicates himself to a project, and that's something that was evident when he did The Matrix, like really trying to capture the best version of these forms of martial arts. And then with the John Wick stuff, he's a Hollywood actor, so they've all had gun training here and there. But to see the extent he went to make sure it looked immaculate on screen and believable on screen is incredible. If you're out there and you haven't seen the videos of Keanu Reeves doing his little shooting training, it is badass. I mean, it is really badass to see that. And then for him to, like, in the third one, he even took Halle Berry to do the same training and, like, showed her the ropes and everything. And through that process, not just the gun, but, remember they're doing gun fu. So he was doing like a lot of judo and Krav Maga and all these different disciplines and really training hard to make it believable. And, you got to respect that. You got to, when somebody's going to put the time and effort. And when John Wick, the first movie came out, it wasn't a big AAA title. It was considered a small offshoot, almost independent-esque kind of movie. They did not know it was going to hit the way it hit. And it was something that, caught a lot of people by surprise. And I think it goes to how hard he worked to make it the greatest movie it could be. And it worked out. I think that was good. So that's that. All right, man. We're just about at the top of the hour.
We're big time.
Yeah, this has been great, man. I love and it just works out. That covers all the first hour always covers like all the movie stuff because there's just so much to dig into. And then the second hour kind of rolls and we do all the TV and gaming and stuff. But how do you feel? How do you feel about the first hour? Well, we got 1 minute here to digest.
I think it went awesome. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah,
this is fun. This is really fun. And I still want to see Keanu Reeves do some more 3-gun stuff. I'm gonna do over break. I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette and watch the 3-gun stuff.
Yeah, pull up some videos and watch the stuff. So, all right, guys. Well, while we're on break, please go check out the Facebook page. Go check out the website. See what we're doing. I want this to be as much my show as it is yours, and so whatever we can do to make the show better. If my voice is annoying, if you want me to wear a hat because the head's too shiny, whatever it is, let me know. I want to make the show the best show it can be, and this is about you guys and being interactive. So hopefully we get some calls in the second hour. I know we got Mike up top on the call. Thank you for calling in, Mike. And we just want to engage with you, and I want to hear your theories, what you're looking forward to, and we'll keep talking about some more fun stuff. So with that being said, we're gonna go into break. We'll be back in 10 minutes, guys. We'll see you soon. Stay tuned.
You're listening to the sounds of WTF Nation Radio.
You got me staring out the window. 8 hours late and you're a no-show. We're Right here, right now. I'm better without you. You're always on my mind. But right here, right now. I'm better without you. Oh, I've done this for some time. But right now, I know that I'm better on my own.
Here, take this photograph, tell me what it is to see when you look at me. Deep into the photography, I don't really need your sympathy, just tell me your thoughts. Have I got what they got, and is it a plot done for naught? Am I not like you, because I do what I do? Who knew that I could lose a few of you, cause I bleed blue? But it's true, I know, cause I see it every day as I work and I sleep the day away. Like you I have pain, and like you I have fear. Can I pay all of the bills and still make it through the year? Will I make it home alive? Should I pray to the sky every day and every night? Will I hold you by my side? But in the public eye, I don't even have a heart. A robot of the system moving only when I'm told to start. Rip apart my art, I'm strong like a flower blooming. You got it all wrong, I know. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human.
Call me a vet like a soldier, Green Beret, 21 gun salute, don't wanna see today. In the constant war zone, in the home of the brave, where they hate the police until they saving the day. I got kids like you, a mortgage like you, so blue lives matter, and so does yours too. All this separation and divide, open your eyes. If you cut us all open, we the same inside. The only difference is I run to the gunfight. Your peace when it's chaos, when the people don't act right. But I'm under scrutiny for trying to protect me. You pull a pistol and I'm shooting for trying to contest me. I got a quick second to make a deadly decision. The media betrayed me like a kid for a living, like I'm cold with no heart, a brain with no thoughts, a body with no feeling, a life with no cause.
Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. I'm damned if I do, and damned if I don't. It's like every single time I say what's on my mind, they go for my throat, they spew evil words. If you are absurd, always grinding, grinning, and killing my soul with these verbs. Hold me down, like I can't gasp for air. I'm closed inside of a box, like I'm inside Fort Knox. Every time that I'm there, I don't know why they think that I'm different from you. All that's true is I'm a like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human.
Call the show now at 415-889-8367. The voice of U.S. Army WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Hey guys, we are back. Welcome. Pop Culture Warrior, Hour 2, Episode 2. Lots of twos. I'm very excited. Radar, you with me there, bud?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
I try to sneak up on you. I try to catch you off guard. Very good. Very good. Glad I'm keeping you on your toes, man.
Well, I remember to turn the mute off this time, so I'm
you were quick on it. You were quick on it. No, yeah, man. You are my, my divining rod, right? So you are the everyman. You are the person that I'm trying to get up to speed on pop culture. So how am I doing?
I think you're doing awesome because I'm considerably more knowledgeable than I was at this time last week.
All right, man. That makes me feel good, man. I that's all I want is that, I love reading about it. I love talking about it. I love speculating on it. My friends, I annoy them to death because I talk about it all the time. So this is my opportunity to say, this is what I know, and this is the most manageable, digestible version of it, right? I'm not gonna take you down the rabbit hole of Reddit, right? And all the theories, because there are some far-fetched theories out there. But what's happening, what's going on, so that the next time you see a trailer pop up or thing pop up or a story pop up, you go, yeah, I know, I heard about that. I heard about that on the show, and awesome. So, and obviously, as we move forward as a show, I have some incredible people that are going to come on and be guests of the show, and I'm so excited. Not that I'm not loving every minute of it with just me and you, Radar buddy, but there's something to be said about bringing outside people and industry people. So for the listeners out there, I've got people lined up that are TV writers, producers, directors, actors, game streamers, people that are massive on YouTube, massive YouTube followings, comedians, actual touring comedians. So there's quite a lot to be said about, bringing in a guest and getting to interview them and learn about a little bit about, what's the behind the scenes, right? Because I'm like every guy. I want to know what's the writing process like. How do you guys come up with the ideas for that? What's the directing process like? How do you figure out the way you want to shoot it? Because right, it's on page, but how do you want to get the right angle and know what's going to be in the background? And I'll talk to an audio person. I'll talk to the guy that the cinematographer who, like, how do you know the right mode and the right mood for the scene and know when to crescendo and how to crash it at just the right time? I'm fascinated about that stuff. I want to bring on video game people. I want to, how do you go about, bringing these creatures on video games to life and these levels and these ideas of, how to structure these things and streamers, YouTubers. How do you come up with the content that you do? It's just so many things that I want to learn about, and I think in me geeking out over it and geeking out over our guest, I think you, the audience, will learn something as well, and maybe learn about things that you didn't even know existed or that you didn't even know would be fascinating. But there's just some really cool stuff out there, and I'm excited to bring that forward here at Pop Culture Warrior on WTF Nation Radio. So I'm very excited. That being said, shameless plug here is I want to, pull up my social media again. So hang up there. There it is. I gotta queue up. This is a new graphic for me. So I gotta hotkey it to one of my buttons so that it'll just pop up whenever I decide to use it. But so there's the website, the Facebook, the YouTube, the Twitter. If you're not already, please follow us and make this your show. Make this what you want it to be by letting me know what do you want to talk about and what do you want to see. So I'm excited to continue doing that as we move forward. Now, back to what we were talking about. So we covered our movie news. Let's talk TV. Are you ready?
Hell yeah, let's do this.
I'm just gonna randomly call on you just to keep you on your toes.
Well, I'm here. I'm just minding the chats.
You gotta earn that paycheck, right?
Yeah, all $0 of it.
What paycheck? What paycheck?
You get paid for this?
Wait, we get paid. There's a thing. No, just kidding. But yeah, so TV. So there wasn't really a lot in regards to TV this week. You know, a lot of shows coming and going. Obviously, it's that time of the season as the holidays wind down. We pick up, you know, the classic sitcoms and shows. You know, Superstore and all the. I was gonna say The Office. I was watching The Office earlier, but things like Modern Family and things like that pick up, and they're in the last season. But there has been some news in the realm of streaming. So obviously, Disney Plus is a big streamer, is the big bad streamer on the block right now. They are the ones that are trying to rival Netflix and all the other streaming services. And I know last week we talked about HBO, HBO Max, and a couple of other ones that were coming out. DC had a streaming service that I checked it out for like a week and watched like the one or two shows that were on there, and then they haven't really produced anything else. So that was a lost cause for me. Hopefully they'll produce some good stuff here in the future. But anyway, so Disney Plus announced a very cool thing. Again, you know, it seems the theme today is franchises from our youth and franchises from years ago. We talk Bill and Ted, we talk Matrix, we talk all these things. The Mighty Ducks. Do you remember the Mighty Ducks movie?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, how good was the Mighty Ducks? You know, the Flying V. Oh, I loved it. Classic cinema. You know, that makes me think, you know, Karate Kid and movies like that, movies from my youth, you know, Back to the Future. I love those movies. Love those movies. So Disney is bringing back the Mighty Ducks franchise in a new series coming to Disney Plus. And the big news, because that was announced a couple weeks ago, but the big news now is that Emilio Estevez has confirmed he will be returning as Coach Gordon Bombay, the original coach of the Mighty Ducks, the franchise. So he's gonna be excuse me, he's gonna be on the project. Disney put out a blurb that says Emilio. Sorry, what did chat say? Jeez, what about a goalie? Yeah, well, I was gonna avoid that, but seeing as I popped up in the chats, they are bringing back a lot of the original characters. Obviously, bringing in a lot of new talent. But one person that we probably won't see return is, and I forgot the actor's name. I actually had it, but he's the kid that played the goalie in the original movie. Apparently, he's gotten into trouble again. He's been in pretty rough shape and has had substance abuse problems and was arrested again. The most recent one was for breaking and entering, and he was on substances at the time, and so probably not going to return for the series, I would imagine, being that he's in quite a bit of a legal trouble. But that being said, a lot of the original cast will be returning. We know Emilio Estevez is. So Disney said in a press announcement, Emilio Estevez is reprising his iconic role as beloved coach Gordon Bombay in the new Disney Plus original series, The Mighty Ducks. It'll be based on the 90s hit franchise. The 10-episode series will premiere later this year on the streaming service. In addition to starring, Estevez will also serve as an executive producer. So obviously it's in his best interest to make the best product he can, because he's going to be an executive producer, and that's money in his pocket, obviously. And so the blurb for the new series is, in present-day Minnesota, the Mighty Ducks have evolved from a scrappy underdog to an ultra-competitive powerhouse youth hockey team. So after 12-year-old Evan is unceremoniously cut from the Ducks, he and his mom Alex set out to build their own ragtag team of misfits to challenge the cutthroat, win-at-all-cost culture of competitive youth sports. With the help of Gordon Bombay, they discover the joys of playing just for the love of the game. Mighty Ducks will stream its 10-episode season later this year. So very, very, very cool. Were you a big fan of the franchise growing up?
I was. I was kind of a hockey kid when I,
Okay.
when I you know, I'm from the Midwest.
All right.
You know, we played hockey on the pond and whatnot, and it was, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of curious. I want to watch it now as an adult
Right.
because we've got kids, maybe not ultra competitive, but are pretty competitive and pretty good though.
Sure.
My stepson is really, really, really good at soccer, so I got to go watch. Like he's in club league and all that stuff, and so going to tournaments every weekend and all that. So it's kind of you, you see competitive sports at a different way when you're an adult, vice
Mm.
when you're playing them, and you actually get to see how much work and time and effort goes into all of the things, and it's kind of interesting to me. And I'm really excited to see it in that aspect. Vice, the the little kid like, yeah, but I'm flying V bitches,
Yeah, I agree. No, I know a good friend of mine has his son has been into so many sports, but the one that really took was hockey. And God bless this guy because he like lives in New Jersey and he would drive his kid on the weekends to like Canada to be at like the best hockey camps.
hmm
But in talking with him, learning that hockey is like one of the most expensive youth sports when you
Absolutely.
consider ice time, pads, and obviously a kid's growing, so they're changing pads and uniforms every year, skates every year. But just the amount of equipment needed, the ice time, the rink time, it's ridiculous. And I actually did some digging, and maybe we'll talk about this one day. But I think it was like in the top. I want to say it was in the top two or three most expensive youth sports, and I think the only thing that beat it was like equestrian stuff, so like horse, anything to do with horses, because obviously horses are expensive and feeding and grooming and stables and all that. But and I can't remember what the other one was, but it would the answer would surprise you. But all right, so yeah, so the Ducks, man, the Ducks will be back on our screens here before you know it. I love, I can't wait for my son to be of an age where I can sit him down and say, okay, look, here's a new series called The Mighty Ducks, and this is aimed at you and youth. But before we watch that, I want to take you to my childhood, and I want to sit you down. And I want you to watch Mighty Ducks 1 and Mighty Ducks 2, and not necessarily be like, well, here's the backstory, because you don't need that, but just as a way to bond with my son and say that like this is a cherished part of my childhood, and now I get to share that with you, and then bring that into something new. I might sound like the weirdo in the room, but a while back when they did Boy Meets World, I used to love Boy Meets World, the TV show. I grew up on it, and when they announced the spin off sequel series Girl Meets World with their kid with their daughter and the series, I tuned in. I watched it. It was a show for kids. I mean, the commercials were toys and movies like Sonic, but it was such a integral part of my childhood and growing up that I was like, I want to see what they do with these characters and getting to see, not necessarily tuning in to see what the girl was dealing with in her little school, but to like see where the characters I grew up with are now, like as adults and what they're doing. So it's cool. There's certain things where I know some people will say like we're getting close to a burnout of all this reboot and sequel and spin-off and um, part of me agrees. Part of me says that there's a lot, but it's one of those things where I like seeing where are my characters now. And I guess it really depends on the source material and the story and what you're bringing back. But like the Honey I Shrunk the Kids reboot, I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see what are they gonna do. The next Ghostbusters that they're making, which is a actual successor to the originals, Ghostbusters Afterlife. I'm excited to see what they do with that. Those are things that interest me because I know the characters, I love the characters, and I want to see what they've been up to and what they're doing now. So, what about
I,
you? Do you have any
I think
burnout
this is.
fatigue?
I don't have any burnout, but I think this is really cool how they're doing it as a series instead of kind of like the Fuller House,
Yeah,
but they're giving it a chance to build and take into something bigger that's not big, you know, box office blockbuster
sure.
productions. They can maybe kind of bring this into and see how this actually works out. I'm really excited for it. But I mean, you look at the Roseanne, well, the Connors or whatever you want to call
Right.
it, and Fuller House, and now this, and so this might be kind of a the more in the beginning of some of this reboot in this area instead of kind of, you know, we got the big multiverses and universes for Marvel and DC and all that. So this might be kind of a modern sitcoms suck. I can't watch any of them anymore. I just can't. You know,
Yeah.
so this might be kind of a alternative to those. And I think it's got a niche, and I think they'll be able to fill it. I'm really excited for it, actually.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I agree. You know, sitcom. You know, it's hard. I think, you know, we grew up in an era where like sitcoms reigned supreme, and there were so many legendary ones, and so many that push boundaries, and so many that lasted so long that they wrote every story you can think of. So it's almost like we've seen it all, we've done it all. Actually, ooh, we're getting a caller. Let's see
Ooh.
who it is. All right, hang on here. Oop, and I missed it because my finger slipped. I apologize, caller. If bad me. All right, I've got a little bit of nerve damage. I hit the wrong button. I apologize. So, if you're out there, please call again, and I will make sure I don't hit the wrong button again. Oh man, I did that in. We were testing the mics the other day, and I did the same thing, and I hung up on somebody that was trying to help us test out the mics. So I'll get there eventually. Let's hope I never hang up on somebody important. But yeah, we'll see. We'll give him a second here to call back. But yeah, no. To talking with that, I definitely think that it's hard to enjoy sitcoms nowadays because it's like we've seen all the tropes and the best, you know, the Ross Rachel, right? Will they, won't they? We've seen that to death, and you know, we've seen all the different things. And here we go. We got a caller. Awesome. I am going to merge the call and see if we can get this going. Hello, caller. You are on Pop Culture Warrior with CQ and Radar. Why is it not letting me take the call? Oh no. Did I drop them again? I swear I'm hitting the right button. Uh, yeah, that I feel like a jerk. I swear to you, I'm really trying to take this call. So if you're out there and you're listening, I really apologize. I'm just gonna answer. Hello, this is Pop Culture Radio or Pop Culture Warrior with CQ. Hey, you're on.
Hey, CQ, it's Mud Puppy.
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Yeah, had to, you know, my youth universe, fat ears, all of the above started ringing, and you were talking about the youth universe, weren't you?
I was, man. I was talking about a little bit of Batman. I was talking a little bit about Kevin Smith and his movies and how they kind of tie into the Marvel universe and also where his roots came from. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of Kevin Smith and his work. I've met him multiple times. He is a genuinely nice, funny, really authentic guy. And this stuff just I was a kid in New York City. I grew up in New York City, and obviously he grew up in Jersey, and so his stuff really hits home a lot with me because it feels like he's writing for me and kind of my life. So yeah, what about you?
So, true story. I'm going to spend the evening tomorrow night with Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes
The Reboot
in
Roadshow.
Charleston, South Carolina, viewing his latest movie, not Tusk, but Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
That's right. I listen to a lot of his podcasts, and a lot of his podcasts are on break because he's basically, for those that don't know, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back was a big theatrical release, and was in theaters and nationwide. So they're now rebooting. Basically, they're doing a sequel, but they're calling it a reboot of the Silent Bob and Jay and Silent Bob movie. But the idea was that they're not gonna do a theatrical run all at once. His idea was that instead of releasing nationwide, we will release it city by city. And they're basically taking their movie on tour, so you can actually say, okay, well, I'm in Virginia or wherever, and they're coming this weekend, so you can catch a viewing of the movie at any point that weekend, but there will also be like one or two showings where if you pay a little bit of extra money, you can actually watch the movie with Jay and Silent Bob, and they'll do the Q&A, and they'll do the pictures, and they'll do all the autographs and stuff. So so I guess that's what you're going to be doing.
Yes, and even better is I am actually taking them. It's not the exact camera, but it is the same make and model as what they filmed Clerks with, which is an RES 16 SR2.
Oh, that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. That's going to be really exciting. You going to try to get them to autograph it?
Yeah. No, I'm going to give it to them.
Oh, you know Kevin
As
loves getting gifts.
He is going to totally geek out about that.
Absolutely.
Because it's the one camera that he maxed all of his credit cards out and everything. What was that, 94?
Yeah.
He filmed that?
Yeah. And the history goes that he maxed out all his cards. He borrowed money. He even sold a large chunk, the majority chunk of his comic book collection, which he had been collecting for, it was 15 years plus at that point, and had sold off the majority of it just to fund, to come up with the funds to shoot Clerks. So that's, if that doesn't hit home for saying that, follow your passion and put your all into whatever project you're doing, that's, what a great example for that.
Went to film school for 4 months, dropped out, and is now one of the top producers. You've got Zach and Mary making porno. That was huge.
Yeah. Dogma.
All of really anything he's ever. Yeah, Dogma was huge. It's one of the only ones you still can't get on DVD anymore. He refuses to re-release that one on DVD because of the whole Miramax deal.
Right.
But
so what was your favorite? What was your favorite Kevin Smith movie?
Favorite?
Yeah.
Chasing Amy.
Chasing Amy. Oh, that's a good one. That's a very good one. Very, very outside.
And then
of his
you're on my real book too, and what I dressed as for Halloween was me and my best friend from the Army. We dressed as Jay and Silent Bob.
That's right.
And literally stood outside of a gas station, and smoking a cigarette, and you wouldn't believe how many people was screaming and coming up to us and taking pictures and everything else.
That's awesome. You gotta hit one of like the conventions dressed as Jay and Silent Bob. I think that'd be a real big hit. In fact, I think this movie has a scene where they do a convention thing. So spoilers, but there might be a scene about that. But yeah, no,
it's a reboot about them stopping a reboot.
That's right. They got to stop the reboot from happening. He's a great guy, and I really love his movies. My personal favorite, I think, and they're all good. And Mallrats obviously being a comic booky kind of movie, but Dogma, I thought the creativeness and the way to take religion and kind of put it on its head and was really one of my all time favorites. The writing was great. The casting, the acting, it was so much fun. It's a fun look at something that can be a very serious topic in what is religion. So yeah. Did
you ever see the video of the news where he was out protesting his own movie?
Yes, that's a classic. Yeah, he heard about protesters protesting the movie, and so he wanted to go out and see what it was all about. And next thing you know, a news camera gets in his face, but nobody realized he was Kevin Smith, the director or actor of the movie. And so there's a clip of him out there protesting his own movie, as it's what it looks like. That's stuff like that is great. I aspire to be that level of host and that level of entertainer, because he's a great speaker, truly a great storyteller. If you listen to any of his specials or his podcasts or anything, he really engages the audience. He really engages the guest, and so he's one of those people that I kind of I look up to as a host, as an entertainer. So I definitely agree.
I'll tell you what, Fat Man on Batman is my go-to if I just need to unplug and not think about anything.
Absolutely.
And you just get lost in that show.
Oh my God, absolutely.
In the podcast that he does.
Personally, I'm a big fan of Hollywood Babylon, and in fact, here's a scoop. I will have Ralph Garman, who's the co-host with Kevin Smith, on this show. He is gonna come on
Oh.
and talk, and we're just gonna gab about everything Kevin Smith and the show. And so that's my personal favorite. I love Fat Man on Batman. Don't get me wrong, and also the Jay and Silent Bob Get Old and a bunch of the other ones. And my goal is to one day corner Kevin Smith and get him on the show. And in fact, if you want to give a holler, if you get in arm's reach length, tell him we're gonna have Ralph on the show, and if we can get Kevin on sometime, that'd be fantastic. Because that's the ultimate dream for me, is to get Kevin Smith on here. And I've actually shot him the idea a few times, and in the dealings we've had, and it's always been like, yeah, it's gonna happen. And we haven't locked it in yet, but one day.
I will work my mud puppy ways.
I appreciate it, man.
Especially giving him an iconic camera like that that started his entire career.
You got to tell him that's the deal.
I think I might be able to weasel something out of that one.
Hey, you tell me that's the deal, man. You want the camera? You got to come on the show, man. It's 1 hour. He can breeze through one story in an hour. You know he could. He's easy for it.
Oh yeah.
But awesome, man. Well, thank you, man. Thank you for calling and geeking out with us today. This is. I'm sure there'll be a lot more Kevin Smith esque news in the future, because with this project, I know he's already working on his next project. He's already talked about the sequel for doing a Clerks 3. So there's definitely quite a bit out there for us to talk about in the future in regards to Kevin Smith, and hopefully one day have him here on the show as well. So thank you for calling in, man.
All right, brother. You guys take care.
All right, appreciate you. Awesome. And so that was Mud Puppy, man. Great guy, and hopefully he enjoys the show, because I know it's going to be a great one, and he's going to really enjoy meeting Kevin. I mean, some of my favorite memories. I've met a lot of celebrities over the years, but one of the most genuine, down to earth, real people has been Kevin Smith. I met him after I went to Hollywood Babylon, actually, live, and it was after the show. I was literally leaving the building and turned the corner looking for my Uber, and Kevin was there and Ralph was there, and I told him, I said, I don't usually do this and just walk up to people, and I know you guys just did the show, but I said, I just want to tell you, I really appreciate your work, and whatever. And they were actually super cool. They were actually super cool about it. Mike Larson. Yeah, you're absolutely right. All his guys, the comic book men. So he did the show, Comic Book Men, on, was it Sci-Fi? I forget what network it was on. It was the same network that AMC, because it was the same network. It followed Walking Dead. He had the show where it's his. So for those that don't know, Kevin Smith actually owns a comic book shop in was it Red Bank, New Jersey, and so he owns the shop, and he put his friends in charge, and so he put his friends in charge of this show. And it's a phenomenal show. I thought it was really well done, and it was a fun thing. It's built off a podcast that they've been doing for a long time, and so that was a show, and it unfortunately went off the air, which I really enjoyed it. I'm sure a lot of people did, and I went once with a couple buddies of mine, and we just showed up at the shop, and we were like, we're huge fans of the show, and we just wanted to meet you guys and check out the shop and everything. And they were nice. These are guys that have, at that point, they'd been on TV 4 seasons, I think, and could have easily just not worked the daily job of working at a comic book shop. And it's right. Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash is the name of the show. Thanks for that. And they were super cool, and we met Ming and Brian and Walt. We met pretty much the whole crew. Even anybody knows, I think Rob Bruce was one of the guys that would come on, and he was like the antiquities guy, the guy that talked about the rare oddities and stuff. They would bring him on the show, so he came in, and so it was very cool. They were very nice, and his whole, like, Kevin Smith puts good people around him, and you can see that. It's something I admire, and I try to emulate in my own life, where, like, put good people around you, and good things will happen in your life. What was it there to take? Yeah. So okay. Anyway, you still with me, Radar? You still good?
I'm here.
All right.
I'm
Awesome,
rocking.
man. Awesome. I got on my own little tangent. You gotta whip me, man. Anytime I get off on a tangent, you gotta whip me and get me back on the straight and narrow.
Hey man, it's your show. I'm listening. I'm hanging out, man. You got this shit. You're good.
we got a show to do, man. There's a script. We're sticking to the headlines. Yeah, let me go off running off on a tangent now. Let me say something. As this show goes on, I can't wait to little by little start sharing some of the ridiculous stories that I have that have just happened to me, happened around me, happened when I was there. Meeting, and it's not just I met Tom Cruise and things like that, but just the weird way in how things happened and the circumstances and the things that led up to it and what happened because of it. And just I get myself into just some really weird situations and have had some really great outcomes of it. I've met Stan Lee, a couple times before he passed, or was that the Buddy Velastro's cake shop where he make the cakes for the show and doing that stuff. And if you probably don't know, there's the show Arrow, and the guy that played Deathstroke's this actor named Manu Bennett, but he basically I don't know the right way to say this, but he basically like molested the soul of a good friend of mine who he got it's such a weird experience. I'll allude to it now.
Is this a story you want to tell on the air? This is a family friendly show.
He basically, no, he was super nice. He was super nice, super cool, and we got into this situation where we're talking to him and he singles out my buddy, and for whatever reason just like grabs him by the head and like does like that forehead to forehead kind of thing, and just starts whispering to him and telling him you have, and I can't do the voice. He's like, you have value, you have purpose, you are a warrior, and this and my buddy just kind of walks away just like in this daze of like, what the just happened? This guy just basically took advantage of me. So it is a great thing. One day maybe I'll have him on and he can tell the story, since it happened in front of me. But I think it's his story to tell. But things like that, like I can't wait to be able to share that, with the audience and take you on this weird journey that I've had over the last, 15 plus years, where I just, I was at Betty White's birthday, this is years ago, obviously not her recent birthday, but I was at one of her birthday parties, and it's just a strange happenstance. I was at, I went to the roast of Quentin Tarantino and met, Sam Jackson and Rosario Dawson and all these people, and have these strange interactions that are not your typical, I met so and so at a premiere or something, where it's a little more typical. I've had these very out weird experiences, but or how I bumped into Tracy Morgan on the street and we had this really weird conversation, things like that. And so little by little, I don't want to inundate the audience with all these stories at once, but little by little we'll start every episode. Maybe I'll share a funny little side story that takes us off on a wild tangent. But yeah, so anyway, that's something you guys have to look forward to, or if you use the social media, man, if you press me, I'll probably spill the beans on social media as well. So that's what it's there for. But anyway, all right. So more Disney Plus news, and I don't mean to sound like a fanboy, but right now Disney Plus is hitting on all cylinders. Netflix is coming out with a couple new things, but in the realm of pop culture, I mean, Disney Plus is where it's at. Like, that's ground zero for pop culture right now, because it's all comic book, it's all Star Wars, it's all video game, it's all cartoons, it's all like they're just hitting all the phases. So,
well, and you look too, they hit the ground running with Baby Yoda, man, and Mandalorian, man. And they just been fucking killing it since.
Nobody saw that coming. Because the Mandalorian was teased so hard and pushed so hard, but I remember that episode hit and everybody was just like, "Oh, Baby Yoda, what the fuck?" Like that came out of nowhere. And so The fact that Marvel's really good at keeping secrets, and obviously not Marvel, but Disney, who owns Marvel and owns the Star Wars universe, they're really good at keeping secrets. And so to be able to, and it was Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau directed it and pretty much wrote it and set it all up. And so, him working with Marvel and doing Iron Man and all these things, he knows the deal in how to capture an audience's attention and how to capture their imagination and how to, reveal this but hide this and make it, fun for the audience. So he did a phenomenal job as far as that goes. But yeah, so I have this to share with you guys. Speaking of the Mandalorian, man, it's like you knew where I was going. So while we knew these series were coming, we finally got the official dates. So The Falcon and the Winter Soldier will be a 6-episode miniseries, and it will land in August, followed in October by 8 more episodes of The Mandalorian, Season 2 of The Mandalorian, more Baby Yoda. And they've promised us some really cool stuff, which as we get closer, I will dig into. But they're promising some real juicy stuff for Season 2. And then in December, at the end of this year, in December, we're following that up with a 6-episode series of WandaVision, which, based on the trailers, looks insane. Basically, a almost going back to that sitcom talk, but it's almost like this sitcom hopping where they're gonna be in different eras and like a Leave It to Beaver, an I Love Lucy, All in the Family, like bouncing around into all these kind of different sitcoms and eras. It's gonna be a trippy ride. I'm so excited for that series. Obviously, Falcon and Winter Soldier is gonna be awesome too, but WandaVision I feel like is gonna really kick off like Phase 4 of the Marvel Universe and really take us to some fun, new, and interesting places. So that's what you guys got to look forward to coming up in the next couple months. So that being said, last bit of Disney Plus news and tying back into Marvel is, so we know that there's shows that they are creating for Marvel in Disney Plus, and so that is She-Hulk is the big one, but they're also developing a Miss Marvel, a Moon Knight, and I think there was one more that I'm off the top of my head I can't remember, but those are going to be the big ones, right? And obviously they've been talking about bringing back like Daredevil and Luke Cage and all those. They're trying to figure out a way to figure out the licensing and rights and being able to get that back. But the big ones right now that they're working on are, like I said, She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, Moon Knight. Oh, and Blade. That's the other one. They're bringing back Blade with an all new Blade. And so with She-Hulk, the big news is that they're reportedly going to start filming that series in July of this year. So that's very soon. And the kind of the information I have on that is that they'll begin filming the new show this year, including She-Hulk. Currently, the series does not have a star. They haven't announced who's going to be She-Hulk. Jennifer Walters, I think is her name, Jennifer something. But the reports show that it's beginning filming in July. According to a production notice, She-Hulk begins filming in Atlanta this summer and will be produced by Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige alongside writer-producer Jessica Gao, who is actually known for Rick and Morty. So you're going to have one of the writers of Rick and Morty, which is a phenomenal show. If you've never watched it, you're missing out. It's a really, really fun show. And I'm sure I'll be talking lots about it once that gets back on the air this year. So there'll be a producer and writing of She-Hulk. During the Marvel Studios panel at CCXP 19 back in December, Feige dropped a bombshell when he mentioned that Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk would be ready by the end of 2020. So though She-Hulk, Jennifer Walters, will debut in the Marvel Cinematic Universe on her own Disney Plus show, fans can't expect to see the character to pop up in movies after that initial outing, because, as was said, some characters we've announced, like She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, and Moon Knight, you'll meet them for the first time in a Disney Plus show, but then they will actually transfer to the movies and kind of go back and forth between movies and their own series, which I think is an incredibly new, innovative way to do storytelling. Because you sign a guy like Robert Downey Jr. to do 3, 4, 5 movies, the stories you're gonna get are in those movies, and that's kind of it. So this idea of we're gonna sign them to multiple pictures and multiple appearances, and then do movie a couple episodes, movie a couple of episodes. I think that's gonna open up all new types of storytelling, because if you look at the movie, like the big blockbuster, the big 2 hour blam, lots of color and lights and explosions, the series can really be story driven. If you've seen Jack Ryan on Amazon Prime, it's got a really good narrative. It's got a really good beat where there's lots of action, but there's lots of story. There's lots of intrigue. There's lots of mystery. So to be able to take something like the level of Avengers, and then put it in a place where it can actually develop and breathe as a story, and leave the spectacle, the big action pieces in the movie, but then really draw out those beats of story and narrative and all these things in the series. I think it's going to be incredible. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be something that people are really going to get on board with. I fingers crossed, because when they announced that Marvel TV was going to be a thing, right, with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on ABC and The Defenders on Netflix, the idea that all this was connected, this is what I had hoped for. I had hoped to see characters in streaming services and in TV and bouncing back and forth, and we didn't really get that. We did get an interconnected world where events do happen and are recognized, but at the end of the day, we don't really... I don't know. We didn't really get what they're promising now, and what I hope is really going to come to fruition now. So that's really exciting to see come to development.
Let me ask you this though: do you think that they'll be, because their blockbuster movies are like kind of the cream of the crop, right? That's their money maker, and they're so persnickety about spoilers and all of the things. Do you think they're really going to allow too much to really evolve in these series, or do you think it's going to kind of be neutered a bit to in order to save the movie franchise, or do you think it'll eventually just kind of evolve into one seamless thing? I find it hard to believe it's going to be completely seamless without giving away too many spoilers or making the movie too obvious.
I mean, that's an interesting point. I do believe that they're trying to create this new cinematic experience where you watch it at home and then you go to the theater and then you go back home and you watch it more, and like that it's this kind of back and forth, that they want the story to go with you, so you can go to the theater, see the story, and then have it follow you home with this next installment, and then you go back to the theaters to see the next installment. I think that's what they're trying to do. Will it be successful? I kind of feel like it will be. As far as like spoilers and teasing the story, there are ways. Think about a really good TV show that ends on a cliffhanger, right? Game of Thrones, in one of the earlier seasons, and ends on a huge cliffhanger, and you're really hanging on the edge of your seat, and you're going like, well, I don't know where they're going to go with this. So now imagine you took that and you said, okay, after that season finale, which ended on this huge cliffhanger, go see the 2-hour movie that's gonna really tie it all together,
right?
And I think that's kind of the story element they're going for. So normally you go see a Marvel movie, there's the 3-act structure, right? There's the first act that sets up the problem, second act, they try to do the thing and then it goes badly, and then third act they finally overcome it and win the day. That puts a lot of pressure on a 2-hour movie or a 90-minute movie, whatever, to tell this large scale story. So now what if you took that first act out and made it a 6-episode miniseries? You know what I mean? Like it's the series is setting up the movie. It's giving you the backstory. It's giving you the what happened, and then the movie can really flex that second act and that third act, because they don't have to rely so much on the buildup. Now, the danger that I see is that they're going to, what happens when that person doesn't have a Disney Plus subscription? You know what I mean? Like, how much stuff can they load up in that series that doesn't detract from the movie experience? So if you just went to see that movie, you're like, well, I don't know all this backstory, It made me wonder. I had the same thought when thinking about like, oh man, this is great. You know, Marvel movies movie storytelling is going to continue on for years, and I got to thinking to a point where I go, oh my god, this is going to get to a point where I take my son to see whatever it is, Guardians of the Galaxy 5, I don't know, whatever it is in the future, and I'm gonna go, well, yeah, you're gonna have to go back and watch 20 years of movies to understand where we're at this point. So I feel like the concern is that it gets to a point where there's so much backstory between all the old movies and now all the old series. It's like, where can you jump in on? But the counter to that argument is comics has been doing that for years. You know, nobody becomes a comic book reader and goes, well, I'm going to have to go back, 70 years and start from, issue 1. Like, you kind of just jump on at a point and do your best to kind of just catch up and get up to speed while you're going through that. So, I don't know. I can see it kind of both ways in that there's definitely a possibility of, leaving too much in the series and not enough on the screen, or maybe they again, because the movie's gonna end and then it's gonna tie back into the next series, right? So then it's like, well, for those people that don't have the series or don't go to the movies, what's the happy medium for them? It's like they kind of got you by the the short and curlies, you know what I mean, to make you go see these movies.
Right. Well, they can definitely use it as a marketing tool to get people to subscribe to Disney Plus and all of these other streaming services they're using. But what I'm kind of okay, so like I'll use The Walking Dead for example. Mm-hmm. How they were really, really, really good about the cliffhangers and leaving all of the things kind of up in the air, right?
Yeah.
And you really didn't. I mean, if you read I hate saying the graphic novels. If you read that, you kind of knew what was coming a little bit, but it was very obviously different than the novels. But when it got down to it, towards I don't know, I think it's still on TV. I haven't watched it in a couple of years.
Oh yeah, it's still on.
But it got to the point where it was so easy to kind of read where it was going, and so easy, like you almost got inundated with the information that you had to it became too predictable, became too monotonous, too much the same. And I really would hate for things like the Adventures or anything in the Marvel universe to get to that point where you're kind of like, well, we know what the fuck's going to happen now, so why bother watching?
Yeah, I mean that's very true. And again, anybody that's read the comics and sees where they draw parallels, because like the Civil War movie, that's based off of a comic series. The idea that that the Falcon becomes Captain America, that's based off a comic series, or that Bucky became the Winter Soldier, that's based off a comic series. So if you read the comics, you see where they're going with certain things. Or the Infinity War, that's based off of one of the best-selling comics, literally called the Infinity War. So the Infinity War saga, or Infinity Saga. So I get you. I absolutely get you. And I was a big fan of Walking Dead, and I read the books, and I watched the show. So I see what you're saying. There's a certain point where you're like, all right, I know where it's going, and that's on the storyteller to try to flex where they can and try to surprise you where they can. So something like The Walking Dead did, creating Merle Dixon and Daryl Dixon, characters that don't exist in the comic book universe. Mm-hmm. So you can't predict what they're going to do because they don't exist. So same with Marvel and DC, and trying to not be beholden to the source material, but respect it, honor it, do the best you can with it, and then flex it and muscle it and manipulate it just enough that you can surprise audiences, that you can do little winks and callbacks. And when they did Endgame, there was that scene where Captain America leans in and he goes, "Hail Hydra," and obviously it's a payoff to what happened in Civil War and all these different, or not Civil War, but the Winter Soldier movie. But really, it's also a payoff to those that knew the comic books, in that there was a storyline where it's a whole thing. But in a nutshell, Captain America was a Hydra agent, and it turns out this whole time he's actually been a bad guy and has been working behind the scenes. And it turns out it was all time altering and universe altering stuff and reasons. But he was a Hydra agent for a while, and his big reveal at the time was when he pulls the shirt. He's like, "Hail Hydra." So doing things like that in the movies where you can maybe tease a storyline that you really couldn't do in the movies. But things like that, I think that's what fans want to see. People that know the source material. If you don't know the source material, then it's just an enjoyable piece of the movie. But for those fans that have delved deep into the source material and have been in the stories and whatnot, I think it does give them, something to just like, oh, that's for me. Like I got that. Do pull a Captain America, right? Like, I got that reference. So that's that. But awesome. Wow, man, time flies when you're having fun. Because here we are, getting close to the last few minutes of the show, and I haven't even covered anything video games. And there's some news there. So maybe we'll definitely have some stuff to talk about. Maybe we'll flip the script next week and like start video games and then
start the video games and work our way back through.
Yeah, so that way we'll always keep it interesting. Yeah, I like that idea. That way we don't miss out on any fun video game news. But yeah, this has been fun, man. This has been so much fun. I appreciate everybody who's in the chats and watching, and if you're watching this later, thank you for rewatching the broadcast or listening in on the podcast. Thank you so much. This is a huge dream of mine. I'm so excited to do this. I just want to do the best job I can and make this entertaining for you guys at home. So like I said, I know I've hit it a couple times this show, but any ideas for the show or anything you guys want to see and you want the show to become, I'm happy to make it the best show I can and really make it something that you guys enjoy and look forward to each week. I want this to be our time to connect, you and me. I want you to enjoy this time as much as I enjoy it. So Radar, with that, do you got anything? Do you want to say anything to our fine folks at home?
No, I just want to thank everyone for joining us and for hanging out. And you should join us every other night of the week as well. We have shows on like Monday. We got the Monday edition with Ice and Flash, and then we got us on Tuesdays, and then we got Sarge's Time on Thursdays with Ice and Spanky, and then we got Kicking It with Cause on Sunday. So hang out other nights too. Listen in, hang out. It's great having you here. We do this for you guys.
Yeah.
We have fun doing it, but we do it for the audience. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as much as I appreciate everyone tuning in, for me, I really do hope that if this is the only show you're listening to on WTF Nation Radio, first of all, thank you. I appreciate, the loyal fan base, but I really urge and implore you guys to check out the other programming. Obviously, if you know me, if you're here for this, you're also a friend of the veteran community and the military space. I have family in the military. I have friends in the military. I was in the military, obviously. But, check out the other shows. They are phenomenal shows. Obviously, there's a certain element missing in those shows, but, CQ element. But other than that, they're great shows. They're really great shows. So with that, like I said, I do want to end every episode with a little stand-up comedy, man. Leave you guys with some laughs. Those that stuck around to the end, give you something to laugh your way into next week. So this week's video comes from an amazing comic called Dewayne White, and don't judge by the name, but Dewayne White is a 23-year Army veteran. He served 10 years enlisted and 13 years as an officer. He had 2 tours in Bosnia, 2 in Iraq, and was actually wounded in Iraq. He performs all over the DMV area and helps produce all vet comedy shows. And his next big gig is going to be Caroline's on Broadway. So there's one of the big clubs in New York, and he's gonna be there May 21st, performing comedy. So with that, I'm gonna sign off. CQ signing off, man, and Radar, you want to sign off?
Yeah, I'm out.
All right, guys. So we'll see you next week, and enjoy the video. Shots.
I know what you guys are thinking. Never seen a white dude named Dewayne before. That's okay. It's not really my name. It's my middle name. It's what I go by. But my real first name is actually Shannon. That's not the part you're supposed to laugh at. My parents, they did a lot of drugs. So, I don't mind it now, but as a kid, I hated it, man. Like, give you an example. I'm 13 years old. I get this package in the mail. Happy birthday, Shannon. I was excited. It was awesome. I was like, yes. I don't know what it is. I assume it's a new toy. I've never heard this company before, but, Playtex, I've never seen tampons before. I don't know what these things are. So I open the package, I start playing with them. These are the worst party poppers ever, man. There was a string. I thought maybe it was a firecracker. I tried to light it on fire. Did not explode. But those things are flammable, man. They are. So Mom, Dad, sorry about the carpet, my bad. The worst was I got invited to be a contestant in Miss Teen USA. Man, I was pissed, man. I was embarrassed and upset. I mean, third place? Really? I'm better than that. That's all. That's what I'm saying. I was complaining one time to my mom about it. She's like, it's your dad's fault. He wanted to name you Shannon. I was going to call you John Edward. I'm like, that's no better. Like, Mom, John Edward White. My initials are Jew? Like, that doesn't... Or Irish. I mean, that's just... It's going to confuse people. That's all. That's all. So when I turned 18, I joined the Army because they go by last names, and thought that would be better. But, first place I was ever stationed was Germany. I loved it, had a blast. I actually still have a souvenir in my house that reminds me every single day of Germany. And in fact, we've been married for 20 years. And they love it. They love it when you call them a souvenir. It used to be a war trophy, but that's. But so we got married. We got married in Germany, and so if I'm honest, we had to get married. Fun fact: if you're in the Army in Germany, when you come home from your second tour, you're required by regulation to bring home either a wife or a cuckoo clock. It's just the rules. I give her a lot of grief for being a foreigner. I do, but I just want to say this. She's here tonight, and I want to say this in front of all of you. She is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. By far, best decision I ever made in my life was marrying her. Because you can't have sex with a clock. That's all okay, you can, but with a cuckoo clock, timing is extremely important. You got to do it with an axe and a saw. I'm just be careful at the top of the hour. I guess is what I'm doing. So my favorite Germany story, man. I just got to Germany, and we're getting ready to go do training. I'm like, hey guys, where are we going? What are we doing? What's up? They go, well, we don't have the facilities here, so we have to go to the German base to do gas chamber training. Yeah. So I understand not everybody here knows what I mean when I say gas chamber training. So for those of you who weren't in the military, or I don't know, like you were in the Air Force or whatever, don't owe that. Don't. 30 seconds ago, you were cool with me having sex with a clock. So don't owe that. So gas chamber training. You take this little room, you fill it up with tear gas to simulate like a chemical environment. You go in with a mask on, you take your mask off, you put your mask back on, no big deal. Everybody does it, really no big deal. In America. In Germany, I'm just saying there's a history. That's all I'm getting at. And I'm a smartass. I cannot let this go. So we get to the German base, the dude comes out, and he's like, does anyone have any questions before you go in on chamber? I'm like, yes, I do. Oh, sorry. Yes, I do have questions. Does this not bother anybody else? Like, nobody else has a problem with this? It's like, nothing? Like, dude, White, shut up, man. I'm like, dude, do you guys not have the History Channel over here? Like, why in the hell are we going in their chamber? We won. Twice. So now the German guy's all pissed off. He's like, Mr. White, what's your first name? Really? Here, dude? I go, it's John Edward, and I'm damn sure not going in there now. As a matter of fact, I'll just be over here. checking out this clock. Hey, thank you guys. You guys have been great. This is great.
Thank you.